Hey everybody, who's here? Say hi in the chat. I know that David
Hey.
and Emily are here already because we've been chatting in that top chat place. But please say hi so I can know you're here because I don't really have those stats in front of me. Yeah. While we're getting set up here, I'm just gonna make some music.
Record. Okay.
So yeah, I don't see anybody else chiming in on this top chat here. So I want to make sure it says we're live. Somebody give me some feedback. Somebody out there.
I'm watching the live stream right now, so I can see you like
Okay,
slightly delayed.
so Austin knows that it's happening. Okay, that's good. Here we go.
To pop
Two
out
favorite
chat.
modular chaps. Hey, okay, here the people are coming through. I see you, Brian. There's probably also enough of a delay, now everybody's coming in. Great. Oh, this is good. Wow, man, everybody, it's so good to have Austin Carnes here today. Our Benny. I don't do a lot of these live streams, and this is the first one that I'm doing completely out on YouTube for anyone to check out. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm in my little studio in Pennsylvania that is only here for a very short while. You can see in the back, I mounted my submodular cases on the wall, and I'm pretty stoked about that, but I haven't had a lot of time to spend with that stuff because I've been working on this stuff because MoogFest is coming up. And speaking about shows, I kind of want to just jump right into it. But first, I want to let you know what you can expect. Later on in this chat, Austin is going to do something that I've never seen him do. I've known him for a few years. We've known each other for a few years now. And I've never seen him build a piece from scratch. And so I'm really excited because creative process is kind of a topic on a lot of these live streams that I've been doing on Patreon, over on my Patreon. This is the first one that's live for everyone, right? And so the creative process to actually witness it, oh man. So he's going to show us how he builds out pieces sort of linearly, like playing with a keyboard. And I might talk a little bit about how I build stuff like this, and we'll compare and contrast that. Before that, we're probably going to talk about some gear. Austin got some new special stuff that I really want to check out, and or maybe after that, who knows. But before that, last night, Austin played a show supporting Suzanne Ciani at Mezzanine, right, Austin?
That was last night? Yeah. The Mezzanine was an incredible venue.
All right. Well, welcome, Austin Carnes. Tell me what's up, dude. Tell me how it went. I want to hear it.
Yeah, it went very well. Yeah, it was very exciting and also nerve-wracking.
Yeah, sure.
I was just nervous the entire time. So,
like while you were playing, like the whole time, like no matter what, like did the music take you out of that eventually during it, or were you just on edge like pretty much the whole time?
Yeah, I think eventually when I was on stage playing music, it kind of went away. Like, took maybe 10 minutes or so. But
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Like playing on a proper sound system is pretty crazy.
The bass, man, the bass, right? Yeah, last year's MoogFest for me was the biggest sound system I'd ever played through. And man, I just used that bass and it just felt so good. So I'm preparing the same kind of like sub kind of ideas and stuff for this year. When we did the thing at San Jose, Sub-Zero, when we did the Binary Society thing, that's how my set was. I was nervous the whole time, and I barely got like out of my like nervous body during it to just be. So I hear you. I see some comments of Tom K over here saying it was dope. So
Yeah,
you
I
got
met Tom
feedback,
last night.
right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good, you met him. Nice.
Yeah, he was in town from Chicago, just for the one night, I think, for something else. So yeah.
It's great when things align like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Man. So, okay, so what about, I saw the Instagram story where, you know, the end of your set and you just got to walk off, right? And I was saying to you, like, it's amazing when you get to actually leave the stage after playing instead of having to pack up right away. Like, it's not like a thing that I'm used to yet at the stage that I'm at. So, you know.
Yeah, it was like the ambient version of a mic drop.
Mm-hmm. What,
I
you left your looper running or some shit? Like, what did you do?
I just had decay or delay feedback going, and
Okay.
I think I yeah, I think it was okay to do that. I wasn't sure if it was okay, but um, yeah,
Yeah, because they can just
I thought it
cut
was
your,
funny.
they just pulled your signal at the board afterwards, is all. Like, you know, did you have to go back on stage then to tear your stuff down? Is that the way it worked?
Actually, I think I started going back on stage, and then the crew that was working the event was just able to take the whole table with
Yeah,
all the stuff on
exactly.
it already.
So yeah, if there's a
So I was like,
crew,
"Oh, okay, cool."
it's the best. I actually did play at Mezzanine.
But
I
you did.
think. I played at Mezzanine like 10 years ago or something like that, supporting Shigeto, or actually in Shigeto's band. And yeah, so that was a gig where I didn't, you know, once we were set up, didn't have to do anything. But yeah, Mezzanine's great. It was
But
actually,
then, like,
we
as
were,
soon as I got the table backstage, it's like, "Okay, now it's time to
well, yeah,
try to figure
exactly.
out how I packed it to get
Right,
there in
but
the first
you don't
place."
have to
So,
do that on stage in front of everybody. That's the point here, you know?
exactly. Yeah.
Like, it's next level there. We were actually supporting Tycho, I just remembered. So that was, you know,
Name
was
drop.
the, yeah, exactly. You know, yeah, I opened for Tycho once, you know, before I was
I
Lightbath.
don't know who that is. Who's
No.
Tycho? Yeah.
All right, all right. So, well, I'm glad you made it through. It must have felt amazing once it was over, right? That feeling of just like, oh man, I did this.
I think my first thought was, "I need some water."
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was looking for water, and then yeah, it definitely felt really good.
Yeah,
Um,
just hydration was my main idea, main focus. Yeah, yeah. It's better though to be a little dehydrated after a set than to have to leave to go use the bathroom, because I've had to do that before. Not on big
during the
shows,
middle?
like, yeah, not like during a short set, but like some of these like meditation, like long form, like multi couple hour
Mm.
like meditation kind of things that I do. I sometimes forget to stop drinking water early enough beforehand, and I'm always just pounding back to the cross, and like, and then I'm, you know, an hour and a half into it, and I'm like, oh shit, I
Yeah.
gotta go. All right, well, enough on that. I'm really happy that you did that, that you got that opportunity. It's freaking great. Oh, how was Suzanne's set? Should we say how?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, getting to see her play, especially, like, getting to, like, watch backstage, like, what's going on, it's pretty incredible.
Oh man.
And the
Oh
quad set
yeah.
was in quadraphonic, it was pretty incredible too.
Yeah, yeah. So, but wait, to get to watch from backstage, but also to get to, did you get to witness her in her space before she played? Just those little things that the public, you know, the audience never really gets to see. Like those are huge. Like this is kind of why I like to like talk about some process and these kind of things where like there's a part of this industry or whatever that you don't usually get to be a part of and don't get to learn from if you're trying to get into it. So did you get to see how she like handled herself right before she went on and anything like this, you know, all that kind of stuff?
I don't know, I don't think
Yeah, the
too
answer is
much,
no.
no.
Yeah.
Just like we yeah, briefly chatted a little bit, and then, um, yeah, I was just too nervous to even
Right.
say anything. I was
Yeah,
just
you're
like,
just,
"Oh, I'm honored."
yeah,
Uh,
just in your head, and yeah,
yeah,
I get it.
yeah, there was pretty much no changeover times between sets either, so it was like,
Oh
as
wow.
soon as I was starting to tear down my stuff, she was already playing, so,
Oh no shit. Okay.
yeah, it
Wow.
was that quick.
Wow. Yeah, that's good if there's a crew and if you already had sound checks and it was all cool. The worst is like festival style where you just get a line check and you're supposed to like go on stage and set everything up in a couple minutes and be ready to play and it's supposed to be awesome and stuff. So you didn't have that kind of experience, right?
No, I got, like, a full sound check and,
That's great.
got to, like, yeah, figure out what was wrong before the going on,
Oh
just in
no,
case.
yeah, right.
No, it was
Wow.
fine. Everything went off well, so
Okay, nice. Well, that's great. Well, so what do you want to do next? Do you want to get into some of the new gear, or do you want to do some of this other stuff and save the new gear for the end? What are you feeling?
Let's get into this stuff now, since I don't have the other thing we were going to talk about set up yet.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So,
All right, everybody. So there's something surprise. There's a surprise at the end
don't
that
get too excited.
yeah, well, there's something cool that I've not seen and I
Yeah.
want to see demoed. And by the way, I just saw the I'm looking at some of the comments here. Yeah, like a catheter bag during a long set, you know. I wonder if that's what people do for those like 24-hour sleep sets. I'm sure they just get up and go, and that's a good thing about the generative process. At least I can get up and go, and half of the time it's fine. You know, there's enough going on. Which, by the way, will everybody chime in on the chat? If I leave music on quietly like this, does it affect the voice quality in any way? Is it kind of weird? Is it hard to hear Austin talk if I have little twinklies happening in the background like that, or is everything cool?
Twinkles.
Yeah, at least I didn't faint. I met Belly Full of Stars at Mogfest last year. We met at Mogfest, didn't we? Now you're good. Okay, cool. Yeah, those buckets, like you're at an ayahuasca ceremony or something here, right? You know, just get a bucket ready, get a trash bag ready. Sounds good. Okay, need more twinkles. Okay, great.
Bring the twinkles up.
So, well, but we're about to get into Austin's music, so I'll bring my twinkles down. Oh, that's why Magneto's been ringing out so long. I had the feedback all the way up. That would do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
when I just turned on my system right now, I had the feedback all the way up from last night. So it just was playing just like noise, essentially.
Because
like,
it didn't play the old buffer. It had been buffering, or it just buffered when you turned it on.
Yeah, it just starts self-oscillating.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I forgot to do this at the very beginning. I just wanted to bless this space and all the people watching and the illustrious Beny. And so let's do that before he starts to show us something really freaking great that none of us
a marshmallow?
have ever seen. Yeah, it's just it's from the campfire last night. We had a bonfire here, and I don't eat sugar, so I just burn it like incense. So
Yummy.
I didn't bring you one.
Damn.
Sorry. Okay, so all right, man. I am so curious. Oh, no. Before we do this, I actually do want to say a little bit about this process. So you're about to build stuff out as if it like looping style, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
We both came from a looping background. Like earlier, before we made music with modular synthesizers, what were you doing?
Yeah, with guitar loopers.
Yeah.
I don't know what the first thing, how I even found out about looping, but it's probably pretty close when I got into like ambient music like Brian Eno and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And I just read about these things, loopers. I'm like, oh, what are those? And I think the first like looping experience I had is I had one of those Boss DD6 guitar pedals.
Oh yeah.
And that had like a looping mode.
I use the DD5. Like, it's a short loop though.
Very short, yeah. short.
Yeah.
So just like making short little loops like that and then just playing on top of it, I was like, okay, that's cool. But then yeah, eventually I got a DL4, the Line 6 DL4, which I know you.
That's what I had. Oh, wait, I'm going to interrupt. Somebody said they got to leave. Nostalgia Junkies there. Wish I could stay. I just want to tell everybody this will be archived on my Patreon. So if anybody like, don't sweat it if you've got to leave. There are ways. But yeah, DL4, man, that's actually my experience. I had never heard Brian Eno. I had never listened to any ambient music. I didn't know much. I was coming from like a rock and guitar place, and I got that pedal from a friend. I don't remember why. A bass player friend bought it, and he was like, "You know what? I don't have a lot of need for a delay pedal." He surprisingly so, and he was like, I'll sell it to you super cheap." And so I bought it, and then I saw that it had this looping mode, and I started to try to mess with it. didn't really do a lot with it for another like year or two, and then started to be like, oh, I can kind of get how this works, and then discovered, ambient music, and then was like, oh, right, I know how I can do this. This will be cool. And then so basically, make a loop, reverse it, done. Drop
Put
it
it half
down
speed.
an octave, yeah. Drop it down to half speed, done, easy. No, but yeah,
The
tell me about some of your approach, maybe when you would with the DL4, like with the guitar.
well, the other thing is like I was into like stuff like Minus the Bear at the time.
Yeah.
And like I know I can't remember his name, but he was using the DL4 a lot to do those like stuttering like guitar little things. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
No, I'm actually not. Yeah.
I think you would like them. But
Cool.
yeah, so that's kind of like what
Oh,
got me into
do
the
you know?
DL4.
Yeah. I do know. I remember they used mono cases when I started using mono cases, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I saw some stuff. So yeah.
But
Yeah, super guitar-y
mainly
kind
I
of.
was using the Akai Head Rush actually. So I had both of them at the same time, but the Head Rush was my main looper.
Okay. Yeah. That was a big one because you could undo one step,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. It's been a while since I've used one.
Because you couldn't with the DL4, like whatever you put
Yeah.
in, you are committing to that. It's just one loop you just keep adding to. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're already starting to get a couple questions in here from the peeps. So maybe we'll move forward with some of this and not stay on the guitar side too long.
Sure,
Some things to
yeah.
keep in mind. Emily Sprague's asking. So you're talking about the differences in our approach to composition with looping versus multi-track versus repeating sequencing. Like a repeating sequence. I get you. That's actually really good. I definitely have some things on that. Let's see what David is saying. Do we create music or a project with a concept in mind, or does the concept find itself through the process? Okay, that's another good one to hit. I wonder if I can like save these comments. Nope, I can only just put the user in timeout, which I won't do. So let's just remember those a little bit. Yeah, so let's get into it. Like, first of all, let's just say, what is your process? What is this process, and what are some, and how
Yeah.
does it fit in with your processes?
So I guess this process, I could talk about maybe how I do the live stuff a little bit, since this is my live case.
Sure.
Um, it's just essentially building up sequences of maybe 3, 4, or 5 different parts, and then using. So those are loops in itself. Like in itself, I guess, like the sequences are the loops, but then it's using those loops to run into other loopers and delays and stuff, and
Yeah.
kind of building up the track that way. Um,
And
yeah,
you don't necessarily know where it's going to go. You know what your source material is. You've like composed these loops that are basically MIDI loops and or audio loops in the 301. Is that correct?
yeah. If it's something that I can't bring out with me, like
The
Mellotron samples and stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So in other words, if the parts are something that's in your rack, you'll leave that as a MIDI thing so that you can do that live, and then you just need to like tweak your sounds to like kind of match it. Like you sort of have the sounds in mind that you'll use. Like this is the one that uses my favorite rings thing that's in the red mode with the knob on the right all the way to 9 o'clock. I know that's one of your
Hmm.
favorite sounds. Your like Rhodes sort of sound, your piano
Yeah,
sound.
exactly. Just whatever fits in with whatever I'm doing. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're saying that you're abstracting that source material through other looping sort of things, such as clouds in looping delay mode, I'm guessing, and or magneto, either in a
Magneto.
loop or in a long delay, and or like what, morphogene? Do you use that anymore?
Yeah, Morphogene. Yeah. You pretty much hit the nail on the head, those 3.
Okay, yeah. Hey man, I've seen your videos.
Yeah.
So, so but okay. So do you want to demo it? Do you want to show? Do you want to talk about it as
Yeah.
you do it?
I can't promise it'll be good, but
Well, yeah, it
I'll
doesn't matter.
show
It's
some stuff.
Yeah, no, it's about the process more than about the result. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because I know you really wanted to. Here, I'll try to. swing this over so we can see it a little bit better.
Do you when you're doing a live show, all of your loops are prepared, or do you ever improvise any of those source loops like with a keyboard live?
That's a good question. I think it depends. Like, I'll have stuff where I do it live. Sorry.
First pun. There it is. It
Yeah.
starts. Here goes.
I haven't had
Oh.
enough caffeine yet either. So
Yeah, I haven't had.
wait
Oh yeah,
until
no, I have. I've had some theobromine. I've had some
So
chocolate.
yeah, I'll do
Okay.
sometimes I'll do stuff live if I feel enough confidence. Last night I was not feeling that.
Right.
I was
last
like,
night was more of
"No,
a
I'm just
prepared.
gonna
Yeah.
So let's see here. I should probably make a new project on HERMOD.
Will you walk us through exactly what you're doing in the interface of HERMOD? Because I owned one of those last year. I pre-ordered it. I got it, and I was super disappointed because I used to own a Squarp Pyramid, and I wanted it to be like a pyramid. And then when it wasn't, I was super disappointed, and I actually ended up selling it soon after only trying to spend a little bit of time with it. And then you're now telling me that it's like the best thing ever. And so I think it's come a long way maybe since then, and that I just didn't understand some things. So I'd like to know about process.
Yeah. I guess like the main thing is they've recently did a few firmware updates that have kind of really made it perfect for what I want to do, which is MIDI looping. So right now I just made a new project because I had one of the projects I had up from last night.
Okay.
So I have it set up. I have a few different channels set up. So I have like one ringtone.
Okay. So in other words, you select that channel and it automatically routes to that routes. Whatever. It takes the signal and takes the MIDI and directs it to that particular rings. And then you select another channel, right? Is that what's happening? Like the 1 through 8 buttons?
Yeah, exactly. So I can either set them. I have a key step right down below that you can't see on the camera, but I just have it set to the main first MIDI channel, and then that means that on the HERMOD, whatever active channel I'm on, that will be like the channel that plays.
The pass through. Yeah. There's your rings piano sound, yeah?
Yeah, and then I have a sustain sound. And then, yeah.
Oh, look at you with your tuning. That is so brilliant. You just play high notes to it, and you turn your knobs all the way down so that they don't get knocked out of tune.
Yeah, for whatever reason, my rings, like when they're down all the way, the frequency knob, that's like what perfect C is. So like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, and that's with like the inverters in the middle.
Oh my god! Oh man, see mine. I have to put. I don't know if anybody can see. I have to put it at like 10 to 11 o'clock, and then the attenuverter's off, and like the thing gets bumped, and then I have to switch over to green mode and put the right top knob at like 10 o'clock at that little node, and then pull the tuner out, and it's like it takes like 40 seconds or something, and it's not something you want to happen live, but yours, it's like fixed. It's like burnt all the way down. Wow.
Yeah, that makes it super easy. So like if I'm tuning to like another outside instrument, they're already in C just all the way down. I know that I don't have to find. And with HERMOD, like I guess the way that like the voltages work, because sometimes if I just plug in key step straight away, it's a little too low. Like I can't get to the higher notes.
Okay.
But with this, like it's fine.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's plenty high. Like you don't really need to go much higher than that. Wow. And then, Platts is easy because of that whole tuning thing, the way the knob works in different octaves, which by the way, I added that feature. I mean, I had that. I requested to have that feature added. That was a big trip with me. And then I asked if all the old modules could have it added, but because they were not built because the code wasn't built in a way to allow that to happen to the new ones, it's not going to happen to rings. But I was like, please put it on rings. But yeah, we can continue. Another name drop.
I see that Emily was saying that there's marker on her rings.
Oh yeah, I just need to put a little mark on mine, probably, right?
If you look closely, there's markers on the frequency things. Because I didn't realize that C thing. I was always just, okay, I'm going to turn it to the marker.
See, like I almost had a panic attack.
But it's almost like exact octave above.
Right, you can just go to yeah, exactly. Man, that would be a lot easier. But seeing you turn that had me like freak out for a moment. Then I remembered what's going on. I use ornament and crime in quantermain mode, but I don't quantize anything. I just use it as an octave, a 4-channel octave switcher, or 3-channel in my case. But that's how I move my octaves around in rings. But I might actually look into seeing if I can just turn it all the way down and then just bump it up more octaves in in the pitch beforehand. So yeah, but okay, let's move on. Yeah, show us what's up and tell us more. So you created a new project in HERMOD, and now.
So yeah, so what they added in the recent update is like the ability to make loops on the fly that aren't set to like a specific bar length.
Right.
I mean, they're still set to the clock, but the resolution is so high you could just basically make a loop.
Oh, that's huge. Because yeah, before you had to choose I'm going to do an 8-bar loop. I'm going to do a whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now if I think it's X in the record button. So what it also does now is it arms the recording. So when you hit the first note, that's when it'll start recording instead of how it used to be. If you hit record, it would just start the sequencer.
Okay. I mean, I am used to that method because the DL4, you would hit it at the beginning and hit it at the end, so that's not a huge thing, but it is nice to be able to just start to play, unless you want to start with a rest.
Exactly.
So what would you do then? You can actually just hit the button and that'll be.
You could still record it the old way, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So I'll just make a little thing. I can't promise it'll be good because
yeah, that's totally fine.
So if I'll just do. Then I just hit record again. So now it just made a loop of what I just did.
That's so interesting, though, that it started on your second note and your first note is at the end of the loop.
Yeah, I think that first note is still there at the beginning, so.
Okay, it's just it didn't play it on the first pass. Yeah.
Fine. I think when I hit the record, I don't know how it works, but.
Yeah. Well, already it sounds like our Benny. This is great.
So yeah, then I could go to the other rings and
So you weren't recording yet. Yeah, you were just playing. Exactly.
The other thing I like to do is in the effects section, they have the MIDI, I guess the MIDI input stuff. So I'll change the bend range because it's set to 5 at default, so to 2. And then there's also this other thing in there, gate retrig, which I turned that on as well. Because it basically turns the gates into triggers. So every time you input a new gate, it'll restart the gate instead of I don't know how to describe it.
I wonder if that's kind of like.
I'll show an example in a few seconds, but so now I have yeah, the pitch bend on
that's key to move it down to only 2 steps for the pitch bend because 5 is so hard to do fine with. Oh, sorry, right now.
So let's see. So I think what's cool is all the channels on HERMOD don't have to be the same length either. So if I make another
so it'll phase.
And yeah, it'll record the pitch bend too.
Wait, say that again. It actually cut out for me when you said that.
It'll record the pitch bend too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that resolution is so high on the sequencer. So this is a very simple, I think my thing would be a little bit more complex than this, but so now that I have 2 parts going, then I would
make a longer loop than that. Basically, is what it really comes down to.
Just for demonstration purposes, so I don't fuck anything up. So now I would maybe make a loop into Magneto. So it's running right now, but I just have the wet control down. So yeah, I'm just feeding it right now, like the feedback.
And wet is still down?
Yeah, so then what I'll do is like lock it in and then maybe go like a pitch below. Oh, that sounds gnarly.
You have the pitch quantized on Magneto, you mean?
Well, I'll pause this for a second.
Sure.
So on Magneto, like if you start with the pitch knob like straight up, it has like there's certain spaces where the knob will go for like octave above, octave below, and 2 octaves below.
Oh, okay.
So straight
Which
up is like
scale?
normal.
Do you have it on just on semitones?
None, no scale.
Oh.
So if you have it straight in the middle, if you go all the way to the right to speed it up, that's double speed. That's
maximum is double.
Yeah, and then you go about 9 a.m. to get half speed, and then all the way down to get quarter speed.
So like 3 o'clock is 1 octave up.
So you could hear that's like 2 octaves below.
Okay. Now, but what mode in Magneto are you in right now? Just the normal delay, or are you in the looping mode?
This is the normal delay. I mean,
Okay,
you could do either one.
Yeah.
I just did this because it's simpler.
Yeah, I use that. I just put a really slow clock into it, so it's a longer one a lot of the time. Yeah.
Oops. Yeah.
Just to answer the question that came in, yeah, that's rings. They're both loops that we just heard are 2 different rings. The piano type sound is rings, and then the like siren kind of vibe is, the melancholy siren is also rings.
Yeah, it's like there's a noise going into a VCA, and then there's like an envelope kind of controlling.
Right. Okay. And this is another thing that Austin's been doing for a long time that I still never mess with because I never seem to fit those capabilities into my rack. But you have a 301, so you can make it so that the gate from HERMOD is going to go into the 301, which is going to trigger an envelope with a long attack. And that's going to open up a VCA on a noise source that is also filtered, I think. And then that gets run into the input, the audio input of rings. And so that instead of using the trig input to have the internal noise burst, you use that, and it allows rings to sound very Elements like when you do that, you know?
Yeah. I've actually outsourced it from the 301 now. So
Oh,
I
really?
have
You
this
have a
little 3
2
HP arc
Yeah.
noise rainbow type thing.
Yeah.
And then 2 HP VCA, and then I'm using stages as the envelope now.
Oh, look at that. And it
Because
doesn't actually take up much space at all.
yeah, but this way, the reason I'm using something like that instead of going into 301 is so I can change the patch super easily. So if I want to make this a rings that this is the same rings that's doing the sustain stuff.
Wait a minute. You're changing the patch on what? How did you just do that?
Yeah.
Should I go grab my guitar? That's some.
Sure.
That's some.
So,
Getting that G down F sharp and the E and D and show
you why I want the gate retrig to be on. So I just turned it off again. So you see, I'm like smashing the keys, and the gates like kind of cut the notes off a little bit.
Okay, that's what Scott was talking about with legato, basically.
Yeah.
I saw him say that.
Yeah.
And that's with it off right now, yes or no?
I just turned it back on, yeah.
That was it back on. Okay, well.
That sounds pretty good.
Okay, but wait, yeah, it does sound great. But wait, how did you just change your patch? You changed your patch on what?
So
basically that rings.
I don't know if you can see stages there. So stages, these three first three are controlling the envelope for the noise that's going into this VCA.
Yes.
So right now, if I change this to the red and put it on looping, that's like the second part of the stage. Bring up the attack. So now that basically acts as a sustain.
That's
so
a
it's attack,
sustain now.
sustain,
Okay.
release.
I get
So
you.
now here we are.
Oh, this is great. I get you. So it's not really a patch change. You're basically changing the envelope, but
Yeah, I can change it on the fly.
but it makes a different sound, and it doesn't take that long to do it. That's pretty cool. And I guess the flexibility of stages being like that, where you can switch the functionality of each stage, allows that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just talking through niceness. You want to make some more sound and keep walking us through the next abstraction?
Yeah. What do you think I should do next?
Well, I'd love to hear. In fact, why don't we do this? Why don't not as much talking now that we get the general idea? Do you want to start from scratch again and just make something? And I'm guessing you're going to put in some loops and then move over and get some delay happening, and we can just kind of witness that. Is that cool?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
bear with me if something bad happens.
Yeah.
So maybe I could talk with what I'm doing too.
Yeah, that's
So
fine. That's fine. Whatever you want to do.
yeah, so I guess I'll start just making another sequence. I kind of like that thing that I was doing with the what was it?
Little Lydian vibes. Is that what that was?
Oops.
Or is that just the
I don't
7?
know what I just did. Okay. This other thing is I'm not really much of a keyboard player, so
Oh, but it sounds good, man. Whatever's. Yeah.
okay. I see what you mean. It doesn't play that first note.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like that though, so I want to.
No, this is good because this is the process. We're seeing the real thing. This is good, man. Love it.
Yeah, if you were to watch me in my studio, it's just me going, okay, this sucks 100 times in a row before I get to something I actually like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully I'll have something here because we're actually live. So,
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. You're not doing this approach live, usually.
that's good enough. It's good enough for a little demo. Let's get a different sound. Nope. So I'll make another loop. Okay, there we go. So now I'll just bring in some magneto, I guess. The other thing is this is not in stereo. I don't know if the stream is in stereo. So
well, we're both recording for everybody. We're both recording on our own sides here in stereo. So I'll put together a stereo version of all this that's better, high quality. It's not the audio won't be going through the YouTube system. It'll actually sound really good. So on Patreon there will be a full video with all the good sounding audio to this.
Okay, so now I think I'll bring in some morphogene. So I'm gonna record a loop of this on the fly. So I just have this main signal that I have going out to magneto. It's molted in the 1U. So the way I had it,
the audio is molted.
Yeah. So what I had was I'll I'll have to explain. So what I was doing last night is I have just one small mixer in this system, and I didn't want to copy this dry sound that's going into the magneto. So what I would do is record onto the Morphogene without the inputs plugged into the mixer. And then once I was done recording, I'd take out the inputs and then plug in the Morphogene into the mixer and then bring it into the mix.
Oh man, I used to do that with sends and faders, and that was a lot easier. I didn't have to repatch, but yeah, that's the thing about with Morphogene, because there's one knob that goes from dry to wet. You can't, instead of 2 volume knobs, you can't set that up without having a feedback loop. Yeah.
You can record the inputs with it 100% wet, but then as soon as you finish recording, it's going to start playing again.
Right.
At least the way that I have it set up. So I'll just record a quick little loop. So now I have to unplug this. I did this like 3 times last night. Bear with me. So now if I bring it in, it's playing like a reverse copy. So maybe I'll do an octave above. So what's cool is you can set the CV output on the Morphogene to be a ramp, and
you can.
And if you plug that into the SOS input, it'll do like this like cool like ducking effect.
Really? I hope I remember that. I'm gonna try that.
So it's like the ramp is set to like the length of the loop. So if I speed up.
Yeah. It's the ramp is low to high ramp. Yeah. So it's yep.
And then I'll like send like a random CV to. I have someone here. I think this is a random thing.
Emily, while Austin is doing this, the CV that's going into the SOS is coming from the CV out of Morphogene, and you configure it with that file, with that text file, right, Austin, to make for a ramp out. There are a couple
so
different
it
CV
changes
outs.
it from an envelope follower to a ramp out that
Okay.
goes from like the start of the slice, or I guess
at 0,
the gene, to
right.
the end.
Yeah.
So you can hear, I just have this like. Like
that's cool. I bet that could be actually very cool as well if you had live input going into it and it was switching between 2 different sources.
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
You know?
We could try that, see what that sounds like. Turn these down.
Well, I mean, only do this now. I really just want to see your process.
So here the original loop is going in there.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
It's kind of cool, actually. I have to try that more often. Oh, it's off screen. Let me try to get the score. There.
Nice. That's great.
So you should be able to see the orange light, like doing like a.
Oh, right. The intensity of that light is the volume.
Then we can get some plots in here.
And now I have it set so I can continue to talk and it won't switch to my screen so that everybody can actually see the light moving when I'm talking about the light.
Oh, shit. I have it on delay mode. I need another random CD. Oh, here we go. Reverse the grains in it. So yeah, there we go. So then what I would do, like if I'm playing live, so I would just build this up, play with these like on the fly. So I would just start with like, just like the one part, and slowly just build it up. So it really sounds cool, like when you have that ducking effect going into like a reverb of some sorts.
Okay, sure.
Which I don't really have a reverb handy.
Yeah. Would you use an external? Would you use like BAM or something? What would it normally be?
Yeah, I was using BAM last night for doing that. So yeah, that's one way.
So, and then what we're kind of missing here is the fact that like you're going into a like a mental state, an emotional state, a consciousness state as you're doing this. Like we're not in that state right now because we're like explaining it and talking, but like you're slowing down, right? I mean, that's like the thing. You're like dropping in and feeling and then doing these processes and really listening deeply. And that's like the other key that we're not getting at here, right?
I think so, yeah. I like really take my time, kind of build things up. And there's certain parts where I'm like, okay, I can make all this stuff sound louder, especially like using the delays, like bringing the feedback up, and um, especially when I start to add like bass and stuff, which I don't know if that'll come through on the stream or not, but we could try it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, with the audio, some people were mentioning, I saw, some mentions about the audio being not so good. And I typed in on the chat saying that we're both recording our own audio so that when this is archived on Patreon, it's going to sound great. But my internet here in rural Pennsylvania is not great. So that's why it doesn't sound good. Austin is actually at your place of work that has like a commercial connection, so it's really great. So it's not Austin's fault; it's all my fault. But so far, this is really cool. This is awesome to see how this goes. It's cool seeing you using the OG clouds, which is running Parasites, right? I'm pretty sure you're running Parasites on that.
Oh
yeah. And just curious, with PAMs, are only clocks coming out of that, or are they just pulses, or are any of them rhythms? Like, is PAMS just sending different clocks around the case, or what's happening?
So it's either sending random CV. I just have like random CV that I can input anywhere. So that's why where I got those random CVs for clouds and morphogene.
Oh, okay.
I just had already those patched.
Now
they just weren't patched into those things.
Yeah.
And then there's sorry.
There's no I can't remember if PAMS does it smooth random.
I don't think so. I'm not sure if there's a way to slew it either.
Yeah.
But I guess in this case, I don't really need slewed random for just messing around for that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then there's like fast gates and then some clocks. And what that's doing, that's going into the 301. And on some of the patches I have on the 301, there's granular players, and those are like triggering those granular players. or like the slower clocks are triggering an envelope to make it like swell in and out.
And those granular players are samples that are loaded in?
Yeah, these ones are, yeah. I can show an example of that. I don't know if you guys can see on the screen, but get a mixer in there. And then manual grains. And we'll do this flute sound. Oops, shoot. That's not supposed to happen.
While Austin's doing this, I'm going to answer Griffin's question. Changing the rate of the ramp effect on Morphogene has to do with the gene size. It's synced to the gene. So as you change the gene size, it changes the ramp to suit. It's just all the way down at the beginning of the sample and all the way up at the end of it. So
yeah, so if you have like the
whole
thing playing, it'll play through the full cycle of the loop.
Yeah, from quiet to loud.
So I have like a little. Oops. It's going to all this stuff.
Right.
But
you were talking about that mixer. That mixer is just for sends to send it around to different between clouds and Morphogene and Magneto. Is that what that is again?
This mixer?
Yeah.
That's actually where Morphogene, Magneto, and clouds are being sent to.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm sending that just to the outputs up at the top.
Oh yeah, and then that was going into BAM, and then that's the house.
Well, last night I was using a external mixer, so I was actually sending this mixer into the external mixer on its own channel, and then there's another pair of audio outs from the 301 separately.
Okay.
For anything that I wasn't going to use reverb on, like bass stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I have like these things from Pam's, so I could trigger it. Let's see, you can see like the gates. And then if I add like one of those random ones that are in there.
Whoa, what just happened? How did it get all, where did all the notes come from? Oh, it's different parts of the sample and you're randomly skipping around it.
Yeah, see, I don't know if you guys can see, but
you have little loop markers.
These aren't even loop markers. You can just scan through the little sample.
Oh, okay. And it's like crossfading, basically, like each grain, right, is like crossfaded.
Exactly. It's pretty similar to how Clouds works, actually. It's just with the sample.
So. And this is the thing you built. This is ultraviolet?
No, this is just the
manual grains.
Stock granular thing, yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Cool. Where do we go with this? Do you want to do any more? Do you want to actually maybe it's time to
maybe if some people have questions or something?
Well, I've been watching the questions as they come through. Yeah, if anybody wants to ask any questions of Austin's approach here, throw them in the top chat or the whatever it's called, the chat area. But I'll actually I'm going to compare and contrast some of these approaches here. So we talked about guitar looping in the beginning, and that's where I came from. You know, I would build. Oh yeah, you want to hear us? I sent Austin a little video of me learning. Avril 14th. I was singing the melody and playing the piano part on the guitar, but I haven't done it in a few days, so I don't think I'm ready for that now. But I actually literally don't remember it now, but I just learned it the other night just for the fun of it. So I would play with the guitar, and when I would make a loop, it was an overdubbing kind of loop, and very often I would start really sparse and just put a few events happening in the loop and then a few events happening, right? It would loop. And then I would start filling in the gaps with different ideas. This is all guitar, but I might change the tone a little and then put another thing in and have it build this composite phrase that wasn't conceived linearly from start to finish. It was conceived in little inserting little bits as it went around. And it was amazing because I would come up with ideas that I would never have come up with if I were to have tried it linearly, because I can't switch. I can't hold a lot of information in my head at once. Like, I sometimes practice listening to like 2-part inventions and fugues and stuff, and try to follow all the instruments at once. But like, it's a skill, and I think it's a really important skill for anybody who's making music. Maybe not anybody, depends on how you make your music. Like, it might be fine what you're doing, but if you want to expand, is to try to listen more. Like, don't just listen to the compositive things, but try to listen to each individual voice and try to actually follow those voices at the same time. It's like a huge brain ear expander. But so I would make these loops in that way. And when I got into modular, I didn't have anything to do that with, so I didn't do it. I discovered I was using yarns. There it is. I was using yarns, and it had these Euclidean rhythms in it, and I could hold down notes on a keyboard and have it latch, and then have it play like a random arpeggio based off of those notes within that Euclidean rhythm. So I started like composing groups of notes, like, all right, I'm going to use these 3 notes, 4 notes, whatever, and make a thing, and then layer it with a different rhythm and a different division or multiplication of the clock to another rhythm, and other notes. And then I'd have those make this like changing vibe that was kind of always changing. So it sort of kept my interest, but it was similar enough that it kept my interest, right? It's a fine balance between just like random and the same loop over and over, like boring, right? And so I would do that, and then I started to realize that the actual part of the composition is choosing how you're grouping it all, and then you just let it run. And so that's basically what I'm doing. And in fact, actually right now, I went back to that Euclidean approach. My Moogfest set, I think my 2 sets that I'm playing there will be, I have the first 2 knobs on the quadrat up here that are adjusting the Euclidean fill for 2 channels in PAMs. And then those channels are going to Renee X and Y.
That's the same name of my barista, Euclidean
Renee?
Phil.
Nice. Like PHIL?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So then pun number 2. We wish we had a counter, but we don't have that that technology.
We don't have the technology yet.
Yeah. So I'm able to just turn the knobs to make it more dense and less dense, and they're all rhythms. And then the A channel, the first channel, the X channel rather, is
Oh, hey, Div Kid's here.
Whoa, Div Kid's here. Hello, lovely people. Hey, Div Kid. So the X channel here is getting no sound. It's actually
warm
super
bass.
low. Yeah, let me just. Oh, because my tempo is super slow. So X channel, which is also controllable by the X-axis on planar. So it's playing a sequence, but I can add to that sequence to like improvise within the scale. And then the Y channel is the other rhythm, and that's on the Y-axis.
That's pretty sweet.
And I went through all of this. I have a live stream on my Patreon where I go through like how I put all that together. The difference now is back then I was using Renee's gates to make rhythms, and I was just giving it clocks from Tempe. Now I'm giving it changing clocks, easier to change for my head. And then I'm running it through a long magneto, and then using the shift mode sometimes to like layer other stuff, and 2 math channels to shape it. And that's basically like that voice.
Now, do you ever send CV or like gates into the shift input on Magneto?
I did. Oh, actually, no, not the shift. I do it on the reverse. That's a great idea for the shift input. I forgot that it even exists, and it's right next to. It's like 2 over from the
Oh,
reverse.
I was just curious.
That's a good. I think I might actually start doing that. I have 3 channels of PAMs that are available, and I might set them on some longer ones to just patch to the reverse and the shift and whatever. I used to send additional Just Friends outputs to that, but now I'm actually using Just Friends as like a multi LFO, and so sometimes I'll speed it up, and then that would kind of mess up the reverse thing. I was trying that last night, and it was like too much. I need like slower events to like make it reverse. But so I have basically that, and then I have like marbles playing rings. Rings into clouds. Like Austin, let's just all right, let's do it. Let's talk about this right now. I never even knew that like rings into clouds was like a thing that like it's like become like almost like a negative meme or something. And because I kind of stopped following the forums and stuff, but like did we start that? Is that us?
I don't think so. I mean, there's everyone. It's not like we're the first. Well, you had rings
No, I
before
think I
everyone
am the
else.
first because I had it before everyone, and
Yeah.
I started making videos with that, and that's just
Just say-
that's what I liked. It's what made sense to me. It's like, and it's like a great sound, but now I like filter it and put noise in and do other things first. And then you do like what you showed earlier in this, which is to shape the noise going into it so that it's not just the internal trigger. But
I think the whole rings into clouds thing is overblown. Like people are too harsh on it.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying the same thing about like pulse waves into a filter. Like it's the same thing. It's just
right.
a different way of doing things.
Right. But I mean,
So
it is important if you tune your oscillators, tune your sound sources like really well, like really listen. And if you don't have ears, if your ears aren't developed to the point where you can really hear it, just use a freaking tuner. I use tuners because I'm not going to spend my time I'm just going to put it in, make it in tune. And then if it's out of tune, I'm going to go, oh, I can hear that it's out of tune. Let me use the tuner and fix it. Just saying, it's a thing where, the more in tune your music is, like if you're trying to make pretty music, like tune your sources.
Unless you want to make space jazz.
Right. And actually I've heard some really good stuff that was using some really finely tuned microtonal stuff that was amazing. And I mess with that too. I'll tune my oscillators and then I'll like push it up or down a little bit to like add tension. I was doing that in the Commend set, the recent release with Emily. I had some like kind of like STO stuff that was like 6 or more cents sharp, I think it was, or I don't remember if it was flat, but out, and it was just enough to create some like depth. So it's important to be in tune, but it's also important to know how much you can play with that space. It's the same idea. I actually, how frequency and vibration is all the same thing, whether it's light, sound, or pulse, right? So you have groove, you have pocket, right? When people play music, like you don't necessarily have to align both things together. You offset them a little bit. You lay behind the beat, you lay ahead of the beat, you rush ahead of the beat, you push ahead of the beat, and it gives a good feel. And that's where the good feeling comes from. You can do the same thing with pitch. You just sit a little lower, sit a little higher, and it creates this like thing instead of just like locked in, kind of whatever. So I just wanted to say that.
That seems to be more in line with like real acoustic instruments, like
because they're naturally,
yeah.
And the voice.
When you strum the string, like that's going to add like the small little,
Oh, right. And you can do that in the modular, like, right. Say you take like an envelope and just apply it to the pitch, right? And just be very subtle with it, Well, here's the other thing. Another like meme worthy thing is people using the like Boards of Canada woozy warble kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I do it. I basically like grew up on Boards of Canada. Like I still listen to Boards of Canada a lot. Like it's a thing. Like I'm very into what they made. And I think it's really beautiful stuff. And I like to apply some of those techniques, I do seem to hear it like done very heavily, like sometimes too heavily for my own taste, you know, when I hear it in the space. I think a little goes a long way with it. And what I really love with when Voice of Canada, they'll like have something that seems normal and then it'll get weird, but then it'll come back to normal. It's not always weird because anything that's always just disappears, you know. Um, but okay, so
Makes
this
sense.
whole generative idea, you do work generatively sometimes, right? Like, how does this work with your compositional approach? How much is this linear? A lot, I think, is going to be your answer. And then how
Mm.
much is this generative thing, and where do generative processes show up in your overall workflow?
Uh, that's a good question. I kind of showed it a little bit, like showing with using the random CV to control the position of the samplers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like the main thing is like once I have these main parts going, then I'm using randomness to affect like the playback of sounds. So that's
Yeah.
like the same thing with like the this granular thing. It's all just random parameters on almost everything except for pitch. So
But you always have that firm ground then, or nearly always have that firm ground of something that's almost to fall back on, like that source material is
yeah,
already there. Yeah. Whereas I guess in my case, the source material is just what I'm choosing. Like I'm there's nothing to fall back on, and I have no clue what I'm going to do when I go in to play a set. And I just know the configurations and the approach. Like right now I'm getting ready for Mogfest, so I'm coming up with like how I'm going to navigate a longer set. Like one of my sets is like a meditation sort of thing, like sound bath meditation kind of thing. And so it's going to be like 45 minutes to an hour. So I have to have different approaches for that than I'll have for maybe like a 20-minute, 30-minute modular on the spot set, which will likely have more energy. Like, I don't know. Um, Still figuring that out. But you know, there aren't as many fallbacks, and so it can be scary. But I find for me, I actually work better when I'm not working with prepared material, because for some reason I've never learned. I've practiced, I guess, more just improvising. I used to improvise as a guitar player, and all of this loop-based stuff. I would play these sets every Sunday for like 3 hours with this drummer, and it was all completely improvised. And I did another thing on like Tuesday nights when I was in New York with a band, and the whole band would improvise. So my background's in improvisation, so that's more my comfort zone. So it's actually, I feel that I can make it to higher highs in the music if I just go for it and then just try to find it, because it's so exciting when it actually comes together and starts happening and sounds good in the moment, and then that energizes me and goes farther. But I'm guessing with you, Austin, you're still going for that same feel. That's what anybody who's making music is going for. Whether or not you're using prepared things or you're completely off the cuff, you're trying to find that new freshness that makes the music relevant to the present moment, right?
I think that's a good way to put it. I'm not as brave as you. Maybe that's it. To
Shit.
really improvise in the moment. I
But you can
yeah
play
no
songs. So,
huh
but you can play a song and you can be like, here's my song. And like people recognize it, right?
yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
I can't do that.
it doesn't end up the same every single time either, which is kind of like the thing is I don't want it to just be pressing play on the song.
Yeah.
Like it may have sequence parts that I've done before or prepared beforehand, but it's the energy of the thing, the movement, you know.
How you get from thing to thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of that, like I have like point A, point B, point C that I want to reach, and then I have to fill in the gaps, kind of like
Yeah.
using what I do is like effects and stuff. So
Okay, yeah. I actually do a little bit of that idea too, where point A, B, C, and D are like what I'm preparing for this set. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then maybe this kind of thing, maybe this kind of thing. But I'm ready to drop any of those plans if I'm in the moment, like, oh, no, I'm going to do this, and I just do it. But my fallback is like, okay, I'll go from this thing to this thing, because there's sometimes when I just blank and I'm like, what do I do? What do I play? It's like when I was first learning guitar, I knew like a handful of songs. I knew like I knew 5 songs or like 5 parts of songs.
Open the Water,
Yeah.
Iron Man,
Sweet Child of Mine,
Time of Your
intro.
Life.
And so I would go into a guitar store and I'd want to like play an amp or play a guitar, play through an amp, and I would just blank and forget everything that I knew. And I'd sit there for like a minute or two and I'd be like, I know songs, but I can't remember what songs I know. I should have made a list and put it in my pocket. Dude, you know Sweet Child of Mine, just play the damn thing. But
Don't play
Stairway. Yeah, I didn't learn Stairway till much later. But okay, so this has been pretty cool. I wonder, anyone who commented in the very beginning, I don't know if Emily's still here, if David's still here. You guys were talking about like, you were asking some questions, and did we even get to some of that process-based stuff? I haven't been looking at the questions. Austin, have you been looking at the chat at all?
It's going by pretty quick, so I haven't been able to look at everything. Maybe I don't know if I could scroll up.
I can only scroll so far into when Inverted Pups arrived, but which is still a little while ago.
David Knight's still there.
Okay, good.
Div Kid's still there.
I'm glad Div Kid's answering some questions, it looks like here. That's cool.
This is now a Div Kid AMA.
Yeah. Ding dong, ding, ding dong. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding, ding dong. So yeah, it's Avril 14th, so we have to honor the Aphex Twin. The Aphex Twin. He played in New York? Is that what happened? Like yesterday? Like last night or something? Or Friday night he played? I was looking, Shigeto, I was looking at Zach's feed, and I think he was there. It sounds like he was there. Or maybe it was...
Call me when he comes to the Bay Area.
Yeah, maybe it was in LA, because I know he played Coachella last night. So
no, he played New York and then Mexico City, I think a few days before.
Oh my god, he is all
was there.
Over the place these days. Living it, man. Whew. All right. So yeah, okay, good. Thanks, David, for the confirmation on that. Yeah, Div Kid, man. Ben, just promote, dude. Do it up.
Hell yeah.
Just make sure you end every one of your self-promotions with go support Lightbath on Patreon and subscribe to our Benny on YouTube and Lightbath. So yeah. All right. So do we want to talk anymore about process? I do know. Well, okay, wait, actually. Yeah. I kind of want to get a HERMOD now and get into the looping thing now that I know it actually works better.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed with the ability to add effects, because when I was using the pyramid, I used to do a generative thing with loops. Okay, so this is a good example of like what you're talking about, the way you have a loop in the beginning and then you abstract that with other processes, and that becomes your generative approach. And so my loop would be whatever I played in, and then I would add like the probability of the chance effect to add probability of whether an event happens or not. And sometimes I would use just arpeggiators. I would do the thing I would do with yarns, but with probability. And it was amazing, but you have to be able to tweak the separate parameters. So basically, you would probably need something like this new thing that I just got. The 16N, to be able to make adjustments via MIDI, which I think is
CV,
this.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it has CV, but I mean, if you're using HERMOD, it's better to keep those CV inputs for other things and just to go MIDI into it, to go USB into it rather. Or there it is. Yeah. And then you can adjust all the parameters of like, how dense is this? What time division is happening for the density of the probability? What time division is happening for the arpeggiator? How many octaves? What direction? You know, all of these kind of things are how you get expressive with it. And I would do my generative stuff like that, which is great because then I could choose some notes on the keyboard to latch. And I was using the the cue nexus. So when you would hit the keys, they would light up. So I didn't have to remember what chord I played last. And then I could just be like, oh, I'm going to move the F down to an E flat now and keep the C and the G and the B flat where they are or whatever, right? And so I could move my harmonies around. And I can't do that with this. Like, to move my harmonies around, I have to do that trick that I talk about in the Patreon live stream of this, where I change my keys that are already pre-made. And then for you, Austin, all of your scale stuff, somebody asked about this, your scales and your notes, they're chosen basically by ear using the keyboard, playing it live in, and how you make your stuff like that, right?
If I'm using the key step, I mean, I was using the Korg Electride, which I know Scott Campbell, who's in the chat right now, uses a lot, and that has like built-in scale. So I would use that, which I really like how that's set up, because the pads, it's not set up like a normal keyboard. It just is all the notes over like 2 octaves or like an octave and a half or something like that. So I really like that. And same with Digitone, like I'll just set it to a scale on that. But if I'm using the key step, then yeah, it's just by memorization of what I know would work.
Right. Like you're basically, it's a scale. You might not be thinking of it as like, I'm in D Dorian. Well, that'd be all the white notes, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm whatever, but you know the picture of it. You just know, all right, these notes sound like this, but they're matched to your ear. Like, you know what it sounds like, right?
Not always.
Well, yeah, but for the most part, at least half of your doing of this is based on prior experience of what it sounds like when you do these combinations of notes, right? Your ear is kind of leading the charge, even if it's only slightly ahead, right?
Yeah.
Because that's important. I mean, the thing that I stress a lot with like teaching and with music is it's ear. You got to be able to hear it. Like, work on your ear so much. And there's lots of exercises you can do. In fact, David, who's on the chat right now, we're doing in our monthly Patreon meets that we do, our lessons, we've been working with the amazing book. Oh, freaking David, what is it called? I totally blanked on it. I keep wanting to call it The Mysticism of Sound and Music, but it's not that one. It's the other one, The Harmonic Experience. The W.A. Mathieu, and it is amazing. It has you like starting from the fundamental way that like sound is made and the overtone series, and you learn to sing the intervals based on the way nature actually works. And so you can basically spend a month learning to sing a unison, which is the same note as the drone.
At the same time?
Yeah. Say what? Yeah, and you don't sleep. You just no, but you know, yeah, exactly. Like over, you know, but no. And then you move on to like the octave, and then the fifth, and then the smaller intervals as it goes up through the harmonic series. And when you embody them, when you actually feel them and know them, it's a different thing than being like, oh, a fifth on the piano is C to G. I'll play that note. Like, if you can hear it first, then your heart is directing it. You know, it's not just your mind directing it.
Yeah,
and I hear that in your music.
To it, I think, right?
Say that again.
You can start to attach like other ideas to that. Like, you're like, okay, I know that using that combination of notes makes me feel this way.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, this is great, because there's so much emotion in your music, Austin. It's so clear how deeply felt it all is, and it elicits a response. So it's no surprise to hear you say that. In fact, I'm going to I see people putting links in here. I want to put this. Wait a minute. It's called Lightbath Mall. I'm going to put the Lightbath Mall link in the chat. It's my Amazon store that I get commission on. So if anybody wants to use it to support me, it every little bit adds up. It's really great. But on the Lightbath Mall, I have all these books that I use with students, and just stuff that I use for my own inspiration. But there's like a link to like gear that I use. There's a link to like video stuff that I use. There's a link to the books. There's a link to like health stuff that, it's good stuff. So yeah, I just had to put it there. But okay, so should we move to the new piece of gear?
Sure, yeah. Yeah. I have to set it up, so it might take a minute, but
all right, go for it.
But also wanted to touch on that fader bank thing.
Oh, please do.
Because I think I have one arriving tomorrow. So
oh, you do? Did you get Raph from Michigan Synthworks to make it?
I bought one used from someone online.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's great. That's great. Raph did a really great job with this. Like, it is beautiful. He has his own little stickers now, like with like serial numbers, basically. Like, he's doing this like it's pretty pro, and the faders are really smooth, and the caps are like rubberized, so your fingers stick to them really well. I mean, you could choose different options. I chose the silver because I wanted it to match my mono stuff, you know. But the 4-4-4-4 like that makes it a lot easier to know where you are, because if they were all the same color, I wouldn't know what's up. I do like the way Cool Maritimes, the way Sean Helfrich is. One is with the little like the caps that look like Buchla style. They look like easel caps. Those look cool, but these I think are probably easier to do all at once, like to do 4 at once, like with a hand, you know. So just saying.
That's pretty cool. I do like that they broke up the segments into 4s.
Yeah.
And that actually, the reason I got one of those is for this new the GR1, the granular thing.
Of course.
Because I was like, okay, I need something.
Wait, do that again. Do that again. It switched over to me. Oh wait, I still did it wrong. There we go. All right, everybody. This is what we're talking about. Austin just got the tasteful pretzels. No, yummy crackers. Tasty chips. He just got the Tasty Chips GR1 granular processor that I saw that Scott Campbell got too at the same time. It looks really exciting because there's a huge screen on it, and I swear more devices need huge screens like this. I saw somebody's comment, and they're like, "Come on, it's 2019. It's about time we got like a high-res, like full high-res screen on things."
A little bit in there.
Okay, good.
Takes a minute to boot up, so
all right.
Yeah, I'm really stoked on it.
So you can have how many channels, how many different like samples, granular samples can happen at a time?
I believe it's 4.
That's great.
So it's not 4-voice multi-timbrality, but it's also
say that again. It actually cut out when you said that.
It's a 4-voice multi-timbrality.
Okay, right. Yeah.
But it could also play. It's polyphonic though too. So I think when you're using, I can't remember what the polyphony number is because I think it changed, either went up or down recently for something. I'm not sure. So, but it's definitely enough to like do
polyphonic in the way like multiple grains overlapping, meaning.
No, as in you could here. I'll have to show you, but as in you could play chords like,
and then have multiple grains with each note of those chords.
Those grains are just per note.
Oh wow. Yeah. Oh man, this is like a granular. Oh, it's like a freaking keyboard or whatever, but it's it'll. Oh man.
So like, see, I gotta find a better sample here.
So remember what I was talking about when I was like, I was pounding the LaCroix and all that stuff. I'm gonna step away for just a second, so just everybody enjoy Austin doing this. And I probably should have told Austin in chat behind the scenes so that nobody knew this, but whatever. I'll be right back.
So sorry, I'm gonna plug in the MIDI controller here. Let's see.
What did I miss?
I'm just setting things up.
I probably chose not a good time to leave then. I could have...
That's fine. You can edit that out of the...
I could have showed everybody that me drinking LaCroix.
LaCroix.
This is not sponsored by LaCroix, just saying. But if LaCroix wants to sponsor me, I would love it.
If I could
pound it up.
So I could
this got me loose.
I'm trying to find just like a sample that is just a note, one note, so I could play chords and it won't sound too dissonant.
And it won't keep moving, yeah. Oh yeah, I totally need to put LaCroix on the Lightbath mall.
I'm still figuring out how to use this thing.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, we can't see the screen though right now because man, I want to see the little screen on that thing, the big screen on that thing.
Closer to the camera.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's great. This is a great angle. So you have a really small grain size happening right now, obviously.
Yeah. It's like a super small, super dense. So it's 1,024 grains a second, I think. So I have the key step hooked up to it. I think it's able to be a MIDI host too. So it's
whoa, dude, hold up. What you just played, the first set of notes to the second set of notes, is the beginning of my Moogfest set last year. Exact. So if anybody catches that, just go and I'm curious. I think it's a thing. But please continue.
So you get like perfect control of the timeline. Yeah. So then you could add a second voice. So now there's two samples playing at once.
Okay.
And I think as of now, you can only, like once you add a new voice, you can't change anything from the old voices unless you're using MIDI.
Oh, the UI of the device itself gets assigned to the new voice, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't go back and make the active track the old voice just yet. So
okay, all right, but they'll add that. Okay, but otherwise, you assign all the different parameters to separate MIDI.
So now you got four things going at once, and maybe it's a little too much, but.
Right, yeah, depending on how dense the things are you're using. But to have all of this assigned to, you know, all the faders on like a 16N or something, on some fader box assigned to the different tracks. I mean, we see four here. I mean, there might be 4 parameters per voice you could do, and then you can easily see which one is which, you know?
I definitely would want like density, grain size, and spray, and like the position. So I mean, yeah, that's 4 per one. That's like
yeah. That's cool.
I was initially looking at that Korg MIDI controller, the Nano Control.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, the nice thing about the 16N is how flexible it is. It can be a MIDI controller, it can be an I2C based thing, or it can have all the CV outs, and that's how I was planning on using it. Actually, I was planning on using the 16N with this case because like my micro clouds in there is like insanely hard to use. And it's nice to just to have all of your parameters near each other because it's easier to learn for me. Like I'm like, oh, here, I'll just make the sounds like this. It's easier to perform. And I was just going to run so much of this patch with that, but I'm playing modular on the spot and I'm not allowed to use anything outside of the rack anymore because I created a fiasco last year by using a monom device, which Rodent said I could do. Right? He said it's okay to use my grid, which was plugged into an Ansible, which was in the rack. But apparently a bunch of people gave him shit for doing that. And so therefore yeah, it's back into all in the rack. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
So, which I respect. It's fine. It's a rule of it's how Modular on the Spot does it. So
What if
I'm
you put it
playing
back in
by the rules. Say again.
What if you put it in the rack, like you put it under the modules, like it's actually in the rack?
Somebody did that where they had a I forget what they were using, like a drum machine of some sort, and they actually like made it. They took it apart and put it behind a panel and mounted the panel inside of their mounted the panel inside of the rack so that they could use it because it was part of their workflow, just so they could play Modular on the Spot.
That's genius.
I heard that story from Rodent. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible that in this chat, people are hopping on at different times and going back to the beginning. I see Kev Durr just said, "What's doing the pitch bend?" Kev, are you talking about Austin? Oh, you won't be able to hear me right now. He'll only be able to see the chat. Well, I feel like you're asking about when Austin, when you were playing the key step in the beginning with your modular, and now we're on the granular thing. So there might be people at different points. Or is there something bending the pitch in this in the GR1 right now?
I don't hear. I don't even have the audio on really loud,
Right.
but he might have been talking about that. But either way, it's all just the key step.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you could do pitch bend on this too.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was doing with that nebulae thing that I did a couple months ago. But like you, I was choosing a very small amount for the pitch bend. Like, in fact, I've been making patches for the Novation Peak, and a lot of my patches use a pitch bend range of like less than one step. I do that using the mod matrix actually, because you can't choose less than one step if you do it in the normal place, and that allows me to do that sort of warble thing that we were talking about, but to not just have to have it automatically be doing it. I can choose when I'm doing it.
Yeah, it becomes a patch where you could really play it. Right.
Oh yeah, no, I just read a comment here that I allowed through, and it distracted me. But yeah, so you can perform it as an actual gesture. Smelly Nelly's getting all whatever in the chat. No wonder it tried to filter it. Good to know. Good to know, Nell. So you got this thing. I think it sounds like it's going to be really cool. Will this take the place of the 301?
For me or for anyone?
For you in your performance case. I know that there's still reasons to use 301 because it does a lot, but do you think instead of having manual grains in your rack, you'll just do it with this and combine that with the modular?
Well, I don't know how much I want to travel with this thing with that screen.
Oh yeah. Well, you just need a case for it. You need like a little Pelican case for that thing.
Yeah, as far as like granular stuff goes, it's definitely way more versatile.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could do stuff with like the 301 granular stuff that's easier to do inside of that, like setting it up for live recording. Because I know you can live record into this, but you need like a class compliant USB interface.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of things to plug in. And see, this is the issue that I have with external devices. And it's so much more to plug in. Like right now, I can't get the sounds that I get from BIM and BAM without BIM and BAM. So I use them. But having those extra boxes, the cases that they're in, and the power supplies, and having enough extra outlets for it, it's all kind of a thing. Like I still want to be able to show up, and even so I have this little like sidecar case because I can't fit everything in that. I just want a freaking 12 view that has everything that I need in it, including all my effects, and I just want to be able to open the thing and go. And I've been saying this for years. Austin, you've heard me say this for years, and I've never done it. I still haven't been able to do that. There's always like an extra thing, and it's more setup and more cables to bring, and it's like it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything to add. Just yeah.
Well, okay. So did you? I saw Josh Sadler ask this. Did you use your key step last night?
I did not actually. No.
Did you have it with you though?
I did not.
Okay, so maybe he was talking about another time when you played with the key step. Yeah, I
It's
thought he was just
possible.
referring to last night's show.
The stuff last night was recorded with the key step. I didn't need it there in the moment for anything. So
Right, it's all prepared, and so then yeah, it's a cleaner setup. And so somebody just mentioned why not use iPad and sampler? Then you still need a class compliant audio interface. So you're still working with yet another device to like, just saying.
I've been
Yeah.
looking into iPads and they're pretty expensive too.
And the iPad itself is expensive, and it becomes like pretty much unusable within a number of years. I bought an iPad in 2012, and I think by like 2016, I was outside smashing it with a sledgehammer. Literally. No, but I say that though because it was no longer usable and it was like slow and crashing. And so I was just like, if I destroy this completely, then my data is safe. So I destroyed it with a sledgehammer, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I've never used Sampler, but I've used Borderlands.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I've
some
checked that out.
people will be familiar with that. Yeah, I really like Borderlands.
It's great to be able to touch. The touch interface of those kind of things is actually really handy. Truthfully, though, I I think I like dedicated faders and knobs over a touch interface.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I think that's what Scott is saying right now. He's saying like it's more fun to play, like
okay,
the GR1, just because you have dedicated controls and it has
because
fun slide.
you start to learn where those controls are and how you move with those controls to get certain sounds. Whereas with a visual interface, you have to have your eyes on it, and you're not always able to have your eyes on it if you're juggling multiple things and you're in a performance situation and the lighting might be like either really bright and it's making a glare, or it's the sun, or it's like hard to see or whatever, So
Or the moon is really bright and you're about to turn into a werewolf.
we what's your favorite animal?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. I like any animal that has antlers, really.
I think I had a I'm gonna look over here. I had an Arbeni animal to add to this. I
Oh,
can't find it. I did find David Knight's favorite animal randomly on YouTube. It just showed me one of those. I don't know how to pronounce it. It showed me that animal meeting a dog for the first time, and yeah, it's a weird. It's a weird animal. It doesn't seem real. It's got the hugest head. The capybara, something like that.
oh yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know how you would say it, but yeah. Well, so we're already like we're coming up, man. It's like we're past an hour and a half here. So we've been jamming here for a while. Is there anything else that we wanna get into? What else are you feeling, man?
Um, Actually, yeah, I wanted to go back to the 301. We were talking about how you needed a class compliant
Yeah,
USB device to record on that, but you can set up the 301 so it actually can record from a buffer into the granular player.
right.
But what's cool about that is you can start to set up like feedback controls and stuff too. So like if you wanted to do that with the tasty chips, you would need to like set up a mixer to like feed everything back like on a send.
Yeah. And
So
because
that's
that
yeah.
flexibility is built into 301. There's mixers and all sorts of sends and things that you can design like that. So the fact that the 301 is more of a flexible, wider, broader platform than the GR1, which is just made to be like a specific set of things.
Yeah. But then it's also not quite as powerful and you have to if you really wanted to do like a polyphonic granular patch, you have
Yeah.
to set that up and that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, you'd
I
have to
really
build it
do
first.
yeah. I really do like using feedback with granular stuff though. Like
Tell me more
clouds
about that.
spoiled me, with
Oh,
the built-in
okay.
control. So
Oh, you
especially
know
like
something?
go
That's what
ahead.
I just realized. If when people talk about like, I mean, they're very different instruments, the difference between morphogene and clouds, it's the feedback.
Hmm.
There's no feedback on morphogene. Like you're granularly moving through things, but you're only ever hearing one thing at a time. Whereas clouds, that can keep going. It runs the grains through a feedback loop, basically.
Well, I think if you have the Morphogene, like doing the live recording of the Morphogene, like how you set it up I forgot the name of the mode, but where it's recording onto the buffer in real time.
The sound on
The
sound.
TLA mode, yeah. The TLA mode.
Oh yeah, time lag accumulation, not sound on
So
sound. Yeah,
by
yeah.
default, when you have it recording both the input and the output, that will do a little bit of feedback.
Oh, how do you set it
So
up
like
to record the output as well?
that's by default, it's like that actually.
Oh,
So
oh,
like when you have the pitch up,
changes you make, it'll do. Yes.
but what I like to do is I turn that off, and then if I really want feedback, I'll create a patch that it is designed around that because I don't want the feedback and the wet level to be the same control. That's what essentially it is.
Oh, yeah. So you'll
So
actually route it up, which means what? How would you do that? You do a quick walkthrough of that?
yeah, you would
Don't
just
do it,
mult.
but just say it.
Yeah, you would just mult the output back to this like a mixer that with the input and just run the back into the Morphogene.
Okay, so in other words, all right, so the output of Morphogene, there's now two versions of it.
Yeah.
One of them is going to what we're hearing, and another is going to the mixer that also has the inputs in other channels, and you're mixing both of those together? No.
Yeah, so, like, you would patch it into a VCA or something like Quadrat, and then you could bring in the feedback, like, the level of the VCA would be the feedback control.
Which is basically the level of how loud the output that is being fed back into the input.
Exactly.
Okay. And it's
So,
very low. You keep it really low because it gets crazy
yeah, you
intense.
would like, I think after a certain point, it would really start to, like yeah, you would need, like, a limiter or something for it to not to go super crazy, but
Right. And that's something that actually new Chronoblob. I have yet to make the video for that, but I'm going to eventually once I'm not doing another thousand other things. Has a really nice compression. Has really nice compression limiting on the feedback
Hmm.
path, and that makes a huge difference when feedback is compressed and it can be controllable. It can still get crunchy. It can still get crazy, but it doesn't get insane necessarily. Like it can be within this realm of controlled uncontrollableness. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. So talking about the 301 there, that's a good point about how flexible that platform is. So you're thinking you're probably not going to perform with this thing. You think it'll be more for like studio stuff, and then you'll load that stuff into samples like on the 301 or something like that, or just
it
keep your same process as you've been doing live. What's your idea with this?
I'm really unsure, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
also
got
new. Yeah,
I pretty
exactly.
much bought it
You'll find
on
it.
a whim too, so but,
Wait, say that again. The signal, the bandwidth got crazy there.
yeah, I pretty much just bought it. I mean, kind of on a whim. Like I wanted one, but just one happened to become available. So
Okay.
um, I was definitely not prepared, and I still don't. I'm still learning it. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm still learning Renee that I got
yeah,
in the fall.
at this point, you probably know Renee
I'm
pretty
still
well.
learning maths that I got 4 years ago. In a way, I am actually still like actually starting to learn like, oh, I get why it slews now when you use the audio input because there's a rise and fall, and it's like applying it to the audio and like or applying it to whatever signal you're giving it, whatever voltage you're getting it, whether that voltage is like a pitch thing or it's an envelope that you're making to like open something. I like I don't know. I had this like like maths. Oh, I get it, and I actually got it from watching was it Loop Hop? I think it might have been the Loop Hop video on maths. I watched some video where it was like DivKit will be able to tell me if that's who that was that makes the videos with the table of contents sort of thing on the left side. It was
Yeah, that's
good.
Loop.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like, oh, thank you. I did learn that. You know.
Did you see his recent video about the Morphogene?
No, I probably should watch it then. Yeah, tell me.
It's pretty crazy. He figured out a way to use like the volt per octave vary speed thing and also using splices to make like a chord generator type thing.
What? Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Highly recommend watching that one.
Wow. Okay, that's on my list. I mean, hopefully I remember here. You should text me that or something, but so I don't forget. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. Well, what else? I'm sure some people may have asked questions that didn't get answered. Do you want to do a little like short Q&A and then call it? So anybody who didn't get their question answered before, write it in now. We're going to both be paying attention to the chat here. Nice. Thanks, Div Kid. Thanks for the link. I've clicked it now and I will be bookmarking that. Nice. Whoa, Loopop puts it all in like a website and then you go from there. That's kind of a good idea for like other internal promotional streams. So nice. So let's see. How do you do the wall mount cases? That's a great question. I'm gonna maybe make a video of that if I have time. I'm moving studios probably in June, and so I might not. Might be months then again until I get it mounted on a wall. Who knows? But these fit the cases, the submodular cases, perfectly, and they are old IKEA shelves that are available on Amazon, and I will add them to the Lightbath Mall. Okay, if you were on here earlier, bit.ly/Lightbath Mall is my Amazon store. I'll add them onto that. I can't believe I forgot to even do that. And you buy, I don't know if you buy 2 of them or 4 of them. I don't know if they're a pack of 2. I can't remember. I think it's one at a time. So you buy 4 of them. They're like about $20 a piece. So it's not cheap, but it's also not super expensive for something that looks so perfect. And then I put felt inside of them, this like sticky back felt, to make sure that the cases, sorry, I'm juggling a bunch of ideas in my head at the same time, that they didn't, that they were up high enough so that I could get to the screws. Otherwise they sit down a little farther and they get too close to where the jacks are. So I basically just built them up and built them out using little things inside, and I slide them in from the side. I just mounted them on the wall so that they were really tight, and it's freaking great. And I Velcro the power supplies right under it, and then I put my cable thing right under that, and it feels amazing to have a wall system. And I can take them out and travel with them if I need. Granted, what kind of wall is that?
Yeah. Drywall?
Yeah, it's drywall. Yeah. It's old drywall though. It's an old house, not old, but it was built in the 60s. What did you say?
Do you use those little wall anchor things?
Oh yeah. I did not screw it into any studs or anything like that. I just used wall anchors that could handle a lot of pounds, a lot of weight, and it's fine. But yeah, eventually I'm gonna make I would like to make a video about it. So yeah. Brian, how's that Supercell? Man, I wish I had more time with that too. That's another thing. Wes sent that over. Grayscale sent that. I'm going to be making a video with that too. It is amazing to have the reverb, just for one simple thing, the reverb separate from everything with its own knob. To have separate knobs for the blend modes is big time. I haven't put Parasites on that yet, but Parasites... by the way, the firmware for these is written by Wes, is written by Grayscale, as far as I can tell, is recompiled by Wes, so that it's its own version. So there's a Supercell version of Parasites now, because there's different points. There's all these different things now that the software needs to talk to, right? Different jacks, different knobs, that kind of thing. But I'm really looking forward to getting that happening. It's nice to have it in more of a home kind of system. I don't think I would ever have it in a performance case, because right now 8 HP clouds is as big as I can get with that. But yeah, let's see what else is everybody saying there. Austin, do you have any other case apart from that 7U?
Not currently.
Yeah, you were planning something.
I just bought a 4U case pretty recently, an IntelliGel one, and I decided not to keep it. Maybe I should have kept it, but I'm looking for a small kind of 3U case.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just something to, because I have a couple of modules just lying around, nothing to put them in. So
those little is it 4MS that makes those small cases now? Yeah, those seem really cool now that they're deeper. Now that they made deeper versions. Also, though, the new IntelliGel cases seem kind of cool too. I wish they had lids, but yeah, the small case thing, nobody puts lids, but I think they should. Let's see what Chris Elmore says here, I had a question earlier about the arc noise rainbow. Yeah. How you're liking that and how you're using it in your setup. So yeah, talk about that again.
So far I pretty much have just been using it as a noise source for the two rings.
Yeah.
What I like about it is it has multiple noise outs. So it's got like just a regular white noise out, and then like a colored noise that you can choose the color. So usually I use white noise as like the main white noise that I use for rings. But being able to play with some of the other colors is kind of nice. And then it has like a sample and hold random type thing too.
Oh wow! So you can actually take the noise, and it's sort of like Noise Tools for the IntelliGel, the One U. It has a sample and hold
Similar to
for
that.
random.
Not quite as similar. Like the clock, the internal clock is very fast. So like without a clock patched into it, it's more of like a digital noise. Like
it's super
faster.
high, like audio. Yeah.
If you use like another clock, you can slow it down.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I didn't even know it existed.
The problem is it's in 3 HP.
Wait, it's 3 HP?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait, who makes this again? Wait, let me look back here.
I think they do like Surge designs.
Okay. For some reason, I was reading that as a 2 HP module. I thought it was actually made by 2 HP, and then I was kind of surprised that 2 HP would make a 3 HP module. They totally should for April Fools next year. Be like, our new line of modules, and they're all 3 HP, and they don't say anything about it. They just show them.
2.5 HP. That would even be more funny.
Right. Or even 1. I mean, which is insanely like impossible to make anything with. Anyway. What else do we have on here? Let's see. When's the when are we going to do a split release? I think it'll happen at some point. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we haven't made any plans or anything like that, but we've.
It's already April.
Well, my hands are full for the rest of this year, but maybe next year we'll see, right?
2020.
Yeah.
Beny Lightbath 2020.
Yeah. So
we'll also run for president too.
Yeah, might as well. And actually, no, not might as well, because we don't want to dilute anything, because so many people will be interested in us being. Who's the VP? I'm fine to be the VP if you want, if it's Beny for president, because Beny for president sounds better than Lightbath for president. So
everybody knows the VP does the real work anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to be the face, so that means actually you'd have to like be out there, like go into all the things. So
I'm down.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? Case talk. More cases.
Case talk.
What else is on? Well then, all right. I think we're good. I guess I didn't really talk much about like improvising exactly, but that's so far back in the topics that if we get into that now, it's like it's gonna go far. Maybe yeah, exactly. Well, maybe what I would say about it is, in the modular, my scales are predefined. I choose the scales. I may switch between scales, and I improvise within those scales using time. Is something I'll change. Time and rhythm I will change. I will change register, high and low. I will change timbre, the types of sounds, often with filtering, and then it's a matter of just doing that and letting it all blend together.
What's your favorite scale?
Pentatonic. Thanks for asking. It's really all about pentatonic for me. Like much past pentatonic, like with a 4 added, talking major, is nice, and the 7 is nice too. But I don't like scale. I don't like the sound of scales that have all 7 notes in them. It's too hard to get the sounds I want. So I'll take 5 notes from one scale and 5 notes from another scale, and I'll combine them together. And when you combine them with 2 different parts, compositely, they're making the full scale, maybe. But I don't work well in this generative way by using all the notes, because then it just messes everything up. Like if I'm playing the notes and I'm choosing on the piano, then it's not even about scale anymore. It's about intervals. It's about sounds and emotions, like you were talking. It's not like I'm going to play the notes of the scale. It's more like, okay, it needs to go up by this much. It needs to go down. Like, but when I'm working generatively, I need to have that scale as a thing, and so less notes works way better with generative stuff for me than more notes. Aphex Twin with the Phrygian kind of vibe. Yeah, I desire to be able to get into some like darker intervals with scales. I haven't been able to do that yet.
That's definitely my favorite. It's like my
Phrygian?
go-to. Mhm.
No way.
I'd say
Oh,
like 75% of my stuff is in that range.
so when you talk, this is like a thing here. So harmonically speaking, when you talk Phrygian, you're thinking chords too, like what kind of combinations of notes work and what kind of like harmonic moves work within that kind of like a scale, right? Like you're not
That's
just talking about the scale as being notes, separate notes.
yeah, exactly, like chords, everything.
Wait, you actually cut out. I don't know if it's cutting out for everybody when it's cutting out, or if it's just me because the internet's terrible here. Say again what you just said.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Oh, yeah, everything.
I hear a lot of major sevens. You do a cool thing with major sevens and you make them, they're like, I forget what, or actually I don't know what scale degree the major seven is built on. It's in like a minor key. So it's like, I don't know, the third scale degree or something like that. Like if you're in C minor and you go to like an E flat major seven or something like that, or you go to like an A flat major seven, maybe if you're in C minor, like you go down a major third
That's the
from
thing
the
is,
root.
I really don't know what I'm doing. I just set the scale to that and like on the Electribe or something and
Oh
just play.
yeah. And then you just use your ear. That's
Yeah.
actually what's really cool about that kind of non-keyboard button instrument, where it doesn't even allow your brain to get in the way.
Like
It
you
just
can't hit a wrong note.
right. But those combinations, there's a thing you do where you pull a major seven chord, and it's so beautiful because you're in this like dark place and it moves to this like very nice sounding major seven chord, but it's still dark. Oh, good to know that everybody else is clear there. That's great. I
Good.
hope it's much clearer for everyone. I just saw in the chat somebody ATK just said it's all cool. Let's see what DivKid's saying here. Like C natural minor, E flat, and A flat have the major seven intervals. Exactly. I thought it was also the flat
I should
six.
say that I know nothing about music theory, so
Yeah, yeah.
I
Which
just
is
yeah.
the point here of like train your ear, like train your ear and connect your ear to your heart, right? Isn't that basically the Arbeni recipe?
Yes. Ear to heart, add salt. Um
And a few puns. Yeah,
yeah,
but that's
like
the
chili powder.
but that's the thing is you have to really be connecting with these things. Like I know people like me and probably Ben too, Div Kid. Like, are you like this too? You learned so much theory that like you have to sometimes turn it off. You have to be like, I'm not thinking about this. I'm just gonna go and do this. And I think that's why I got into modular. That's why I liked it so much, because I could set up a general theoretical structure and then just go with it. And there's no way of knowing what's happening. I have to only hear it, because if I move this joystick and it plays notes, I don't know what the notes. I don't know what the notes are. They're just sounds, and so I'm reacting to sounds. It's not in the forefront for you. Well, good. I have to actively work to not have it be in the forefront. I think for me, theory informs my ear. My ear has historically been behind my theory knowledge. And so I expand my ear through theory and then try to forget the theory. So yeah.
I can't
That'll be
imagine
fun.
what that must be like to like have to figure out a way to turn that part of your brain off. Like it's
I,
pretty
I seem to think though that it's possible that I would get to a place where the ear is strong enough that I don't have to try to turn off the brain. That the brain knows, but the ear is there 100%. And so it's fine. It's like the ear and the heart. As long as they're leading the way, it doesn't matter if you know it or you don't know it, because whoever's in front is who's making the decisions. You know, in this analogy, like, yeah. Let's see what some people are saying here. Totally about ear training. Yeah, I'm glad people are digging this chat. I have no way of knowing how many people are on it. Do I? Oh, well, it looks like we have had 165 at one point. That's cool. That's cool. It's the first one like this. Well, man, it's just been super fun doing this. Like, what is there anything you want to get into before we call it a day?
I can't think of anything. Yeah, last night was fun.
Yeah.
It was cool to do a little patch in real time, even though I had it all set up already. But
Yeah.
Yeah, the GR1 is fun.
Well, it's freaking great to have you on. I think we did much better this time, focusing on having a good, entertaining and useful live stream than the one we did last year, the first one we ever did.
Yeah, I've almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
I
think only
remember
5 people were watching that, or like 6 people.
it was a Patreon only thing in the early days of my Patreon. So and it was a higher tier that needed it. So it was like literally just 4 of us talking.
It was fun though.
Yeah.
I think we were all on the video chat too. Like,
yeah, it was a Google, it was a Hangout. It was a Google Hang, or whatever they call it, Google Hangout. So yeah. Oh, let me see what this is. Yeah. Okay. So looks like we're going to call it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this. It's amazing to have Austin Carnes, our Benny, in the house, showing us how it's done, showing us how he does it, how he expresses his heart through sound, how he gets his ear to connect to his heart and to come out of his hands into a keyboard, into loops, and how he abstracts those loops to make even more cascades and cascades and waves of emotion and good feels. All right. Thank you, Austin. Always good hanging. Everybody, if you want to see the archive of this, it's going to be its own video that we're going to take all the audio that we recorded, the clean audio on our own sides. I'll put it together in a video and put that on my Patreon. That used to be you had to be at the $11 level to get the live streams and stuff. You don't now. You just have to be at the $5 level. So it's yeah, you know, if you're interested. And then everybody probably already subscribes to YouTube/rbenny. If you don't, you should do that because you're missing out. But again, I'm pretty sure you probably already do because he's been doing this for a while. Actually, I've been doing it for just as long too. But no, he's been doing it longer than me. You've been at this YouTube thing longer than me. And yeah,
my early videos are very rough.
So are mine, actually, but they weren't on the Lightbath channel. They were on previous channels. But yeah, before I learned about lighting.
I have some things to plug, if that's okay.
Please do. Tell us.
I have a new album coming out next month. I don't want to, no details yet.
Okay.
But coming out on vinyl, I'll just say that. So
yes.
I'm looking at vinyl.
I've heard it, and I can't remember. I might not have ever responded to you about it and given you my feedback after listening because I didn't listen to it right away because I was deep in a project. But I listened to it, and oh man, it's so good. I so look forward to sitting down with the actual vinyl and doing it up the right way. So yeah, did you hear this, everybody? Our Benny vinyl is happening this year. Can you say generally when? Did you say that just now, or did you not?
About a month, I believe.
Oh, that's way sooner than I thought.
We'll see.
All right, but summer, you know,
and it'll be available. Like if you're in the States, you can get a copy in the States, and if you're in Europe, you can get a copy in Europe. It'll be cheaper on shipping, so we'll have a way to distribute it from either.
Oh, that's great. Wow. What else? What else you got?
I'll be in LA next month for a show on the 24th. It's do you know? I don't know. I think I'm gonna butcher his artist name, Raya or Raya.
He was on here. Are you still on? Tell us how you. Oh, you can't type how you say your name. Yeah, I don't know if it's Rhea or Raya or Raya. Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna be putting on a
Rhea,
show at his place next month, so I'll be there.
Whoa, like house concert like style?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And I
real
know
cool.
Hadley will be joining us, and I'm not sure if
Good
anyone else.
old Hark Madley.
Yeah, so that should be fun. So if you're in
Wait,
LA,
that's in May?
May 25th,
Oh man, that's right before I show up in LA. I
and
should
that's
be
right.
there in June, I hope, if this all works out. I'm
Yeah,
about to take a leap of faith, and I'm kind of terrified if I'll be able to survive, but I'm gonna try. So we'll see what happens.
you have to
Um,
find a place to mount your modular on the wall out
yeah,
there.
that's like the one of the last priorities. Yes, but exactly, I have to find a place so that I can mount the modular on the wall. So there was something that came. We were talking about Rhea. I think I am on a vinyl with him next month, actually, but it's not as exciting as yours. It's the patch CV compilation. I submitted a track to that, and I think he is on the same one as me. I forget who else is on it, but I think I remember him. I could be totally wrong, and I might be saying this completely, but yeah. But Austin, you got to plug one more thing because I just realized that you plugged your stuff and then I plugged something of mine right after yours. So I wanted to end with yours, not mine. You got to
Yeah,
have something to tell us here.
yeah. Game of Thrones starts tonight. Really looking forward to that.
Nice. Oh wait,
No,
let's.
I have some European tour dates lined up in June. We'll be announcing those pretty soon.
Oh, oh man, I forgot about that. That is great. I've been wanting to play in Europe, but so far I don't have anyone to like organize it. Like you had someone that like did it, basically.
Yeah, Peter, who's actually in the chat right now.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so
It's so amazing. Like, so anybody reading, I want to come to Europe, and there's a couple manufacturers that I work with and that I want to meet. I want to go to Warsaw. I want to meet Chaos. I want to meet Mutable. Like, I want to meet some people like DivKid and everybody else who's all around. And I would like to play. I'd like to do a little tour. So, Lightbath our Benny European Tour 2020. Let's do it. So,
yeah.
so yeah. Well, all right. Div Kid. Yeah, I know, man. Ben has been asking me to be on his live stream for years now, and I
Do it.
haven't done it yet. I do need to do that. So there's a lot of things. Basically, anybody that's asked me to do anything, I've told them yes, and I haven't gotten there yet. But I'm gonna release my thing and I'm gonna make my thing. And once I do, it's time to go back out. So I've been on a really long yin cycle of pulling back into my own jams. But there's Peter. Awesome. Good to see you
I
on there.
think you and Ben doing a video together, it's gonna be like 4 hours long.
Yeah, just because we thought this was going to be an hour, and we're already up to 2 hours and 12 minutes. So yeah, brevity is not one of my strong suits.
It's all good. I got 4 hours until Game of Thrones starts, so
Is it pretty? Or do you feel relief after now that last night is over?
yes, I can't wait to tear down my patch and just mess around on the GR1 and the Coco Quantus.
Yeah. That feeling of getting back to just open experimentation, I've not felt for a very long time. It's like over the summer, I said yes to a lot of things, and I'm still like clearing that out of what came through since after the summer and all that. And so I have all these obligations, and then the new things come up like, oh, you want to play Moogfest? Like, okay. And it's like, I've not even taken a day off in like 6 weeks or something like that. But like, I'm gonna be feeling that soon, and I've never watched Game of Thrones, so maybe it'll be time to start.
Yeah, just make sure you start season 1.
Yeah, start in the beginning. Okay, good to know. Winter is coming. I know
Yeah.
the meme, but I've never seen it. So, oh yeah, the div house is not open until you do the rig rundown. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I know Chris Elmore said that, not Ben, but still, yeah. So my favorite animal is still the bird dog with the bird head and the dog rear that I put in the Instagram post for this. That first photo, totally my favorite animal. I think it's hilarious. It's a cockatiel head on a German Shepherd body.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, you sent me that today. It's pretty good. It's really good because it looks real.
It is real.
What are you talking about? It's the internet. Of course it's real.
Yeah.
Oh man. Good times. Good times.
Oh, you did put that on Instagram post.
Oh, you didn't see that? Yeah, no, I put it all together. I'll be taking that back down. So everybody enjoy it as you can. It's going to come down tomorrow, or now. We'll see. All right. So again, everybody, thank you for being a part of this first Lightbath public hangout, public live stream, public live chat on my channel. Again, my Patreon is where the archive is going to go. This same link is going to eventually be private, so you're not going to get it this way. We're going to have the good audio so that you can actually hear the real deal, and that's how it works.
And your split is on streaming services now, right?
It is. Okay, so yeah, let's plug the Lightbath, man.
Get all the plugs.
Yeah, the split with Emily Sprague, Emily A. Sprague, is now streaming. It's been streaming for like a couple weeks now. It feels so great to finally have something out there that's official. And it's been 4 years that I've been doing this, and I'm now just starting to be like, oh, okay, I'll make a real recording, not just like a video or something, Even though I put just as much work into my videos as I would anything else, it's just dripping them out one at a time. But yeah, Revenge released those for digital. It was a Commend release for the cassette, but Revenge did that. So I'm quite honored to be on there. I've been listening to, it's great to go to their website and see my artist name next to some artists that I absolutely adore. Well, Emily being one of them. Now that she has a Revenge release too. But Visible Cloaks, I can't get enough of Visible Cloaks. I listen to them almost every day. I say, Alexa, play Visible Cloaks. And then she says I can't find that or something. And so I had to make a playlist called New Visible Cloaks to find the new Visible Cloaks. And then I say, Alexa, play New Visible Cloaks. And then it plays. But I do that every morning. I turn off my brown noise. Alexa, play New Visible Cloaks. And then the brown noise turns off and then the music comes on. So, and I had to do that for every, our Benny, it doesn't always work. I have to make, so little tip for everyone, just make a playlist and name it something funny, and then Alexa will be able to find it. So, I'm driving your Alexa nuts right now. That's amazing. Oh man, that's an idea for an album. I wonder, might get in trouble with Google. You might have to do, I wonder. But yeah, if everybody's Alexas are responding, to make music that has things that then connect with these weird things that happen nowadays, all of this, you make a song that just has a sample that says, Alexa, open brown noise. Alexa, open brown noise. Let's just see if anybody. Wait. Alexa, order 50 jars of peanut butter.
Order 50 jars of Tasmanian syrup.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, wow. Hold on a second. Everybody, can you see this? Alexa just added Woodstock Organic Smooth Peanut Butter to my cart. I take back everything I'm saying. Alexa's in the other room and still listening to me. This is dangerous. 12 units is the most I can order at once. This is great. This is so good. All right. So enough of this. I do this all the time when I talk to friends on the phone. I'm like, all right, so I'll take off. And then I remember one more thing I want to talk about. And then a half hour later, we finally get off the, yeah, Alexa, buy one of everything from the Lightbath Mall. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Austin. Always fun. Yeah. I'll be catching you around. Anything else? Last closing words. I will say nothing after you. I will hang up. You have a chance to say whatever you want, and I'm going to end this stream after you say whatever you say. I'll know you're done when you wink.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one. I don't have anything clever to say, so just thank you for watching.
Waiting for the wink. There it is. Bye, everybody. I said I wasn't going to say anything, and I said something. Okay, bye.